Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Transatlantic, their part number ED-301. This is in a DU or dark bronze finish. This is just the empty box. Let's take a look at the actual device. Here's the head case. That's what that dark bronze color looks like from them. Nice spring action, bringing the lever arm back out. This device can be dogged open with this thumb turn, and that's, of course, not permissible to be used on a fire-rated door. It has a UL label on it, but that doesn't mean it's approved. I mean, your toaster is UL rated. That just doesn't mean that it's approved for installation on a fire-rated door, so keep that in mind. That dogging that would be a violation. Having the ability to dog would be a violation. This is the head case. Of course, we've got then the hinge case. Obviously the same, just without the latch bolt. Let's go over some basic dimensions after I show you the crossbar, made of steel. Now, this is going to be appropriate for 3-foot doors. The length on this rod 30-inch, so by the time you get it installed, it'll be perfect for a 3-foot door. Why do people like these crossbar devices? Well, you know why. Is because you can put them on really skinny doors. You might have, meaning a crossbar. I did a job in Chicago. There were fire escapes, pairs of doors on fire escapes to literally escape stairs installed on the exterior of this 6-story masonry construction building built in the 1930s perhaps. And those doors were all 2-foot wide or 22-inch wide, and you can't go with a modern push style on there. So the only thing we could do is use crossbar devices. We happened to use the vertical rod because there were pairs of doors, but had they been single doors, you could have used a crossbar. A bit more of a traditional sort of look, certainly, a crossbar design is. But that bar is made of steel, so keep that in mind when you go to cut it. Overall height of the case, about 8-inch. Overall width of the case, about 2 1/8. Overall projection to the outside of the lever arm, looks like you're about 4 5/8. This will include a roller strike. It will include a shim, should you need it. It will include 2 screws for attaching that strike down to the frame. It will include the rest of your screw package, not only for getting the bar attached to the lever arms, but the head and hinge case down to the door itself. A really easy, simple installation. This will work with doors that are prepped for a 2 1/8-inch hole at a 2 3/4 back set. And there is a link below this video to the installation instructions, which is awfully handy to be able to review. And we're going to pull that up now. They are, of course, included with the device itself, but all of this is detailed in that link called installation instructions. There's also a link to the product catalog, which is actually the Transatlantic original product catalog, which is actually a quite out-of-date catalog, but many of the products still exist. So the link to the installation instructions are really simple and straightforward. Basically, they're saying, they're on page 1, they're giving you a 40.5-inch center line from the floor to the center line of the device, and that's really accurate with what you can expect a device center line to be. You're going to be within that dimension, say 1/2 of an inch. So by all means, use 40.5 for your dimension. The balance of the information on page 1 basically is telling you whatever the center line is of, if there is a 2 1/8-inch hole, make that the same center line as your strike. And what that means is this is in the center of the head case. At least it should be. Indeed it is. That's at 4-inch center line. This is symmetrical. You can install it either way. So you just need to be sure that all of this is working together, meaning the center line. The center of the strike and the center of the latch need to be the same. However, if you're going to measure the top of the door down to the center, you wouldn't use that same dimension on the frame. You'd add that margin between the top of the door and the underside of the header. So a good dimension might be, if it's a 7-foot door, use 43 and 9/16 on the door, and then 43 and 11/16 if you take that tape measure and butt it up to the underside of the header to find the center line of the strike. That's what you would do. If you're doing a new door and frame with this hardware, order the material reinforced, meaning order the door reinforced for a rim exit device. It'll give you additional steel to run the screws into. It will also give you, if specified on the frame, thick reinforced steel to install that strike into. You really don't want to just drill a hole and hope that those threads hold it in. In all honesty, these are the wrong screws. I would use, if it's a metal door, you're going to use machine screws. Obviously, if it's a wood door, these would be acceptable. But drill and tap is how you'd go about with a hollow metal door and frame. Would really be ideal if it was all through bolted as well in terms of the head case itself. We can help you with sex bolts or binding posts for that. Now the rest of page 1 of the installation instructions we've covered. Locating the center line. What they're saying is the center line of the door, it would be 2 3/4 back, but they've got a template here for your review. And this will, again, accommodate. They've got a template if you're doing a thumb piece trim, is my guess. Sure. With an exterior pull handle. The other side of the template is just that 2 1/8 inch hole. And while it will accommodate, it's 2 3/4 backset. And what they're really saying is they've got a 2 3/16 dimension here. If you were to take that template, close the door, take the template and fold it along that line, it'll be from the stop to the center of the hole. It'd be 2 3/16. However, the door is hanging over probably a 1/2 inch. And that's where you're going to get into that 2 3/4 inch dimension sort of area. So that'll work just fine, 2 3/4 inch, even though the template gives you a little bit of dimensional properties that, you know, upon further analysis you realize, oh, it's not marked 2 3/4 because they're not marking it from the edge. They're marking it from the face of the stop when the door is closed to the center of the hole. Let's say the stop is 5/8 and you've got an 1/8 of an inch margin or 3/32 of an inch margin. That's where your 2 3/4 will come into. And then again, the center line of the latch and the center line of the strike need to be the same. Template. All of this are the installation instructions that are there. There's a tag that's here that says, you know, extend the life of your device. Dog it when you're not using it, when it doesn't need to be locked. And what that would mean is, and obviously if it's not a fire-rated door, that would apply. That would mean if you have a, let's say you're a body shop, and you have the door where your clients come in. Well, the boss comes in, unlocks the door, goes in, dogs the device down, keeps the latch bolt held in. Customers come and go all day. At the end of the night, undog the device, it's latched, exit, close the door, it's locked. Why? Well, because you're not hitting it and working the springs, hopefully, several hundred times a day, right? So that's the purpose of dogging it down. However, this is, I'm sure, a grade 1 device, meaning it is rated for heavy-duty use. Oh, forgive me, it's grade 2. That means that it's rated for 500,000 cycles. So that's a substantial amount of use. And if this ED301 is like any other exit device I've ever used from Transatlantic, it will seriously perform to anyone's standards of quality, especially for dollars spent. There's no doubt about that. Okay, so the rest of the installation instructions go over talking about different trim types, and this video won't go into that. But you know, the trim is going to be based on the direction you go will be based on the trim you've got, an exterior pull handle with a rim cylinder or maybe a rim cylinder only, a knob, keyed lever, things of that nature. Now it does talk about reversing the hand, and it's very likely that you're going to have to reverse the hand because this door, this comes out from the factory as a left-hand reverse, the way it's being shown. Okay, left-hand reverse is what this is going to be like. Reversing the lever arms is all you would really need to do, except that dogging screw will always remain there. You're going to loosen that set screw that's there. You'll be able to pull that axle out, flip it around, and reassemble is what you'll be able to do because the inner workings inside of here are all captive. Nothing's going to move. You'll notice that you've got two areas of what you may or may not use for retracting the device. Okay. Now, where it's really going to have to come into play with determining all of your center lines, however, is your tailpiece from your rim cylinder or your knob or your lever is not going to be the center line of the device. It's going to be here or here. So you're going to have to take into account where your trim is located. So if you've got your knob up here, you're going to want to make sure that your crossbar is at the proper height. So keep in mind when you drill that 2 1/8" hole, if you have to, your bar is going to be down here. Well, I suppose it could be right here as well, however you're going to install that. And they put that at either end because they're obviously made to be turned over and reversed. And the template is going to certainly call your attention to that. Okay. Illustrated by the fact that you see the word center line right here. That's the center line of the case. It's not the center line of where your trim is going to go through. So do keep that in mind. Hopefully you got to that far in the video before you drilled any holes. Moving on through the template again, more trims that they're talking about, specifically trim-related knobs, rim cylinders, reversing the lever handles, talking about proper operation of the trim should it become necessary, and then actually how to manipulate a knob trim, which is very common. I'm partial to Transatlantic, and it's because they've got great quality products. My family's been selling Transatlantic literally for decades here in Chicago, and we know them as Taco, Transatlantic Company. And the name to me is synonymous with exceptional quality hinges, especially door closers, most certainly exit devices, and their lock sets. I'm not a huge fan of their locks, but closers and exit devices are guaranteed great value. If you're a subcontractor and you've been hired to supply and install hollow metal doors and frames, Transatlantic is going to give you great quality, something that is economical, something that you can be profitable on, something that you can take to your client and say, here, check this out. Might save you some money and operate really well for you. Your client might say, boy, that's perfect. I'll take that. No problem. And we do that all the time. And it's only because, well, because it's all great quality material, but it's because I've got 10 doors to do and the exit devices can't cost me $900 each. There's just simply no money for that. Nor might there be a reason to have such an exit device that's going to give you substantial grade 1 quality when really all you have is moderate use to begin with. So it's economic sense, and everyone's happy. You get what you're paying for naturally, but I feel with Transatlantic you get more than what you're paying for, and that has been proven for years and years and years. That's why we continue to sell their product. Finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Transatlantic products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. If you have any questions on the Transatlantic, it's available in aluminum, by the way. Change the DU to AL and it'll be aluminum. If you have any questions on the ED-301 exit device or any other Transatlantic product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.